There is something incredibly powerful about silence, about keeping parts of yourself hidden from the world. In a time when almost everyone is eager to share every little thing they're doing, every thought, every feeling, deciding to stay private gives you a significant advantage. You see, when people don't know much about you, they can't predict your next move. They can't interfere with your plans, and most importantly, they can't use your own words against you. Privacy, in fact, is power. Too often we believe that openness is a sign of trust, that sharing everything with others brings us closer. But the truth is that not everyone who listens to you has your best interests at heart. Some people are only listening to find your weaknesses. They smile in your face, nod, and act like they care, but in reality, they might one day use your words to manipulate you, judge you, or even spread rumors. The less they know, the less control they have. Take a look around at the world today. People are posting their struggles online, sharing their deepest secrets with people they barely know, and then wondering why they face betrayal, judgment, or unexpected obstacles. When you hand out pieces of your life freely, you're giving others the power to shape your story. You're giving them access to your highs and lows, and before long, they start deciding what you're capable of, what you deserve, and what your future should look like. But when you keep things to yourself, when you guard your plans, your emotions, and your personal life, you remain in control. Nobody else can define who you are but you. Think about those who have true influence. They move in silence. They don't announce every step they're about to take. Yet somehow, they always seem 10 steps ahead. Why? Because they understand that privacy shields progress. The moment you speak too soon, the moment you reveal too much, you open the door for others to interfere. It could be jealousy, doubt, or simple negativity. But the more people know, the more they feel entitled to offer their opinions. And not all opinions are meant to be heard. Ever notice how the loudest people, the ones who are always talking about what they're going to do, often accomplish the least? That's because talking about something gives a false sense of achievement. You tell someone about your plans, they clap for you, and suddenly it feels like you've already won. But words mean nothing without action. The real winners let their actions speak for themselves. They don't need validation from others. They don't need applause before they've earned it. They simply do the work, and by the time people realize what they've been up to, it's already done. Being private doesn't mean being secretive. It doesn't mean shutting everyone out or living in isolation. It simply means being intentional with what you share and with whom. Not everyone needs to know your personal struggles. Not everyone deserves to hear your dreams, and not everyone should have access to your vulnerabilities. The moment you start being more selective about who gets to know what, you'll notice something. Your life becomes more peaceful. The noise fades away, the drama dissolves, and most importantly, your focus sharpens. There's a reason why some of the most successful people in the world are also some of the most private. They understand that when you guard your personal life, you protect your energy. And when you protect your energy, you create space for growth, for success, for happiness. So the next time you feel the urge to overshare, to announce your next move, to vent about your struggles to anyone willing to listen, take a pause. Ask yourself, do they really need to know this? Will this information help me, or will it expose me? Because once something is out there, you can't take it back. Privacy is power. Use it wisely. Not everyone clapping for you truly wants to see you win. Not everyone who smiles in your face has good intentions. Some people are only around to gather information. They want to watch and wait, to see when and how they can use what they know about you to their advantage. That's why you have to be careful. You have to be selective. You must understand that not everyone deserves access to you. People will disguise themselves as friends, supporters, or allies, but deep down, they may only be there to feed their curiosity. They want to know how you think, how you feel, what makes you happy, and what makes you weak. Sometimes they won't even use that information against you right away. They'll store it, keeping it in their back pocket. And when the time is right, when they feel threatened, when jealousy creeps in, when their own insecurities take over, that's when they strike. That's when you hear things you never told anyone but them. That's when you realize that what you thought was a friend was really just a spy. Ever wonder why certain things in your life take a turn for the worse right after you speak about them? You had a plan, you were moving in silence, and everything was going well. Then you got excited and shared your progress with the wrong person, and suddenly everything starts falling apart. That's not a coincidence. Some people don't even have to do anything physically to sabotage you. Just their energy, their negativity, or their silent wishes for you to fail can be enough to cause a shift. That's why you need to be mindful, not paranoid or fearful. It's not about shutting people out completely. It's about recognizing who is genuinely supportive of you and who is just there for the show. Some people only want to be close to you so they can say they were there when you made it. Or worse, they want to be around to make sure you never get too far ahead of them. Others want to keep you around simply because they like having someone to gossip about, compare themselves to, or secretly compete with. The problem is most of the time you won't even realize who these people are until it's too late. Until they've already used what they know against you. Until they've taken everything they could get from you and left. That's why protecting your personal life, your dreams, your struggles, and your fears is so vital. The less people know, the less they can manipulate. The less they know, the less they can judge. The less they know, the less power they have over you. And don't be fooled into thinking that just because someone has been around for a long time, they're automatically loyal. Time doesn't determine loyalty, character does. Some people will stand next to you for years, pretending to be on your side, all while secretly hoping you don't go too far. Others will act supportive in front of you, but speak doubt behind your back. That's why you need to pay attention not just to what people say, but to how they act when things start going well for you. Do they genuinely celebrate your success, or do they get quiet? Do they support you without hesitation, or do they make subtle comments that plant seeds of doubt? The signs are always there. You just have to be willing to see them. At the end of the day, you don't owe anyone access to your life. You don't have to explain your moves, your goals, or your struggles to anyone who hasn't proven they can be trusted. Your energy, your peace, your privacy, they are things you must protect. Because once you give them away too freely, you lose control. Control over what others do with the information you share. And often, once you realize you've told the wrong person too much, it's already too late. There's something incredibly powerful about someone who doesn't say too much. Someone who moves with quiet confidence. Someone who doesn't feel the need to explain themselves to the world. Mystery commands respect. When people can't quite figure you out, when they don't know what you're thinking, when they can't predict your next move, they have no choice but to watch and wonder. And that wonder, that's what keeps you in control. People are naturally curious. They want to know what you're up to, what you're planning, and how you feel about certain things. Not because they genuinely care, but because most of the time they want to measure you, categorize you, and find a way to fit you into a box. But the moment they think they've got you all figured out, they stop paying attention. The moment they feel like they know everything about you, they stop respecting the unknown. That's why it's important to leave something unsaid, to keep a part of yourself private, to make sure people never know enough about you to feel like they can define you. Look at the people who hold true influence, the ones who walk into a room and instantly shift the energy. It's not because they're the loudest, and it's not because they're constantly proving themselves. It's because there's something about them that isn't immediately obvious. They don't tell you everything. They don't reveal every thought. They don't explain every decision. And that's what makes people pay attention. The truth is, the more you say, the less impact your words have. When you're always trying to prove something, when you're constantly defending yourself, when you feel the need to explain every move, you make it easy for people to dismiss you. You make it easy for them to challenge you, argue with you, or question your decisions. But when you learn to say less, to move with intention, to let people wonder instead of handing them all the answers, you become untouchable. Have you ever noticed how the people who talk the most are often taken the least seriously? That's because when you give away too much, when you explain too much, when you let people into every part of your life, they start feeling like they have a say in it. And once people feel like they can predict you, they stop respecting you. But when they don't know what's coming next, when they don't know what you're thinking, when they can't quite put you into a category, that's when they start paying attention. That's when they start respecting your presence. It's not about being cold or distant. It's about being intentional with what you share. Some people think being open is a sign of strength, that if they tell everyone everything, they're being real. But real strength isn't in what you reveal, it's in what you hold back. It's in knowing that not every thought needs to be spoken, not every plan needs to be shared, and not every emotion needs to be explained. Because the truth is, when people don't know too much about you, they can't form a full picture. They can guess, they can assume, but they'll never be certain. And that uncertainty, that's where power lies. It keeps people on edge, keeps them thinking, keeps them watching. And when they're watching, when they're curious, when they respect the fact that they don't have you all figured out, that's when you hold the upper hand. So don't be so quick to explain yourself. Don't feel the need to overshare. Don't hand people the blueprint to your life. Let them wonder. Let them guess. Let them respect the fact that they don't know everything about you. Because once they realize they can't figure you out, they'll have no choice but to respect you. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that everyone around them needs to know everything about their life. They believe that sharing every detail, every problem, every success, and every thought will bring them closer to others. But the truth is, the more you share, the more you invite unnecessary drama into your life. Not everyone needs to know what you're going through. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts, and not everyone will handle your truth with care. Have you ever noticed how certain problems seem to get worse after you talk about them with the wrong person? Maybe you shared something personal thinking you were confiding in a friend, only to find out later that they twisted your words, spread your business, or used your struggles against you. That's not by accident. Some people listen to respond, not to understand. Some listen to collect information, not to help. And some listen simply because they enjoy the entertainment of your difficulties. People love a good story, especially when it's not their own. They thrive on gossip, on knowing something about someone else that they can pass along, on being the one who knows the inside scoop. And if you make the mistake of constantly feeding them details about your life, you become the source of their entertainment. The more you give them, the more they have to talk about. And before you know it, your personal business is being passed around like a rumor, stretched and twisted into something you barely recognize. There are those who will pretend to care just to keep you talking. They'll ask all the right questions at all the right moments and make you feel like they genuinely want to help. But pay attention to what happens afterward. Do they keep your confidence? Do they offer real support? Or do they disappear until the next time they want to know what's going on in your life? The wrong people don't care about solutions. They care about stories. And if you give them too many, don't be surprised when you hear your own words coming back to you from someone else's mouth. Some conflicts don't start because of what happened. They start because too many people knew about it. What could have been a small issue between two people turns into a mess when outsiders get involved. Opinions start flying, sides get taken, and suddenly a situation that could have been resolved privately becomes bigger than it ever needed to be. That's why silence is your best defense. The less you say, the fewer opportunities you give people to twist your words, insert their opinions, or turn your personal business into public drama. And it's not just about keeping problems to yourself. It's about keeping your victories quiet too. Some people don't want to see you win. They act happy for you, but deep down, they're waiting for you to fail. The moment they see you doing well, they start feeling threatened. And that's when the negativity begins. They'll tell you your plans won't work, that you're not as capable as you think, that your dreams are unrealistic, not because they truly believe it, but because they don't want to see you go further than them. Ever notice how some people only show up when you're struggling, but the moment things start going well, they disappear? That's because some people are only comfortable when you're on the same level as them or lower. The moment they see you rising, they feel insecure. And those insecurities turn into negativity, into doubt, into subtle comments meant to shake your confidence. But if you keep things to yourself, if you move in silence, you keep your power. You don't give them anything to attack. You stay in control of your narrative, and they'll have no choice but to respect you. Silence is powerful. When you don't give others a front row seat to your progress, they don't get a chance to interfere. At the end of the day, not everything needs to be shared. Not every thought needs to be spoken, and not every situation needs outside opinions. Peace comes from knowing when to stay quiet, when to protect your energy, and when to keep your business where it belongs, with you. The less they know, the less they can interfere. People love to talk about what they're going to do. They announce their goals, their dreams, their next big move, thinking that by saying it out loud, they're somehow making it real. But the truth is, words mean nothing without action, and the more you talk, the more you waste the energy that should be fueling your progress. The loudest person in the room is rarely the one making the biggest impact. It's the one who stays focused, who moves in silence, and who doesn't need validation before taking action. There's something powerful about a person who doesn't feel the need to explain themselves. Someone who doesn't broadcast every step of their journey. Someone who just does the work and lets the results speak for themselves. You ever notice how the most successful people don't go around making announcements? They just show up one day and suddenly they're at the top. No warnings, no long speeches about what they were going to do, just results. That's because they understand that real progress happens in private. When you keep your plans to yourself, you eliminate distractions. You remove outside opinions and allow yourself the space to focus. The moment you start talking too much about what you're going to do, you open the door for negativity. Some people won't believe in you. They'll tell you it's impossible, that you're not ready, that you should think smaller, not because they truly know what's best for you, but because they can't see themselves doing it. And if they can't see themselves winning, they don't want you to win either. Others will act supportive, but behind closed doors, they'll be hoping you don't follow through. Because if you do, it'll remind them of everything they never had the courage to do. And then there are those who will steal your ideas. You think you're sharing something exciting, something unique, only to see someone else run with it before you even get the chance. It happens all the time. People take what they hear and use it for themselves. And by the time you're ready to execute, they're already ahead. But if you keep your plans private, if you stay quiet and just do the work, nobody can take what they don't know about. Talking about your goals gives you a false sense of accomplishment. You say you're going to do something, people clap for you, and suddenly it feels like you've already won. But applause without action is just noise. The real work isn't in the announcement, it's in the execution. The problem with announcing your plans too soon is that once the excitement fades, you're left with the hard part, the actual work. And by then, you've already used up the energy that should have been pushing you forward. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to explain your moves, defend your decisions, or seek approval before you take action. The only proof you need is the result. When you succeed, people will see it. When you accomplish what you set out to do, there won't be a need for explanations. The work will speak for itself. And when that happens, the same people who doubted you, who ignored you, who didn't take you seriously, will be the ones asking how you did it. But by then, it won't matter because you didn't do it for them. You did it for yourself. So don't waste time talking. Don't waste energy explaining. Don't give people the chance to interfere with your progress. Stay quiet, stay focused, and let your results do all the talking. There's something about keeping things to yourself that gives you an edge. When people don't know what's going on in your life, they can't interfere. They can't slow you down, and they can't plant seeds of doubt where confidence should be growing. Protecting your privacy isn't about being secretive. It's about protecting your peace, your focus, and your ability to grow without unnecessary distraction. Because the truth is, the more people know, the more they feel entitled to have a say in your life. And not everyone's opinion is worth listening to. People love to give advice, whether they're qualified to or not. The moment you share your goals, your dreams, or even your struggles, you open the door for others to weigh in. Some will mean well, offering encouragement and support, but many will only add confusion, doubt, or negativity. They'll tell you why it won't work, why you're not ready, why someone else has already done it better. And even if you don't believe them, those words stick with you. They creep into your mind at the worst times, making you second-guess yourself when you should be moving forward. Then there are those who pretend to support you but secretly hope you fail. They smile, they nod, they say all the right things, but deep down, they don't want to see you grow beyond them. Because the moment you start changing, the moment you start improving, it forces them to confront their own lack of progress. And rather than rising with you, They'd rather keep you where you are. They'd rather make you feel guilty for wanting more, for dreaming bigger, for refusing to settle. That's why it's so important to protect your energy. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts, your plans, your emotions. When you allow too many voices into your life, you make it harder to hear your own. And the moment you start letting other people's opinions shape your decisions, you lose control of your own path. You start hesitating when you should be moving forward. You start looking for approval when you should be trusting yourself. Some people drain you without you even realizing it. They come with their problems, their complaints, their negativity, and before you know it, your mind is cluttered with things that have nothing to do with you. And the more you entertain those distractions, the less energy you have for your own growth. You can't build your future if you're constantly weighed down by other people's expectations, opinions, and doubts. Growth requires focus. It requires discipline. It requires a level of tunnel vision that not everyone will understand.